Welcome to day 4 of 7 days where we're teaching you the things that we wish we knew before starting and scaling our businesses. Okay, so today we are going to teach you the one thing that could help you get to your next up level in your career or business, and it's storytelling. You might be very confused as to how that's going to help you to go to the next level, but I'm going to share how it could actually be getting you more clients, more sales, and helping you make more impact. It's going to be amazing. Me and Danielle riffed for about half an hour on this, and we gave so many of our secrets away. I know you're gonna love it. I think we are now live on Facebook.
Yay!
Okay.
Hi Facebook, hi Instagram.
Okay, so firstly, I just want to start out this live training by saying thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday. It's a big commitment, I know, but we are going to make sure it is completely worth your time. I really, really appreciate you not letting us all hang out here in the dark.
We're like,
just chilling here. We've got our coffees, our morning tonics.
Yeah.
There's so many good things in here. Let us know in the comments if you actually want to know the recipe, because it's a good recipe. Anyway, so today is day 4 of 7 days where we're showing up every single day to share with you 7 things that we wished we knew before starting and scaling our business. So today we're talking about why there's one thing that we wished we'd known before starting our business that could have unlocked our next level a hell of a lot sooner. So this one thing is storytelling, and you're probably listening thinking, what has that got to do with achieving your next level? And we're gonna share so much about that. But firstly, we want you to be sharing this, liking, commenting. We've got a little giveaway surprise.
Yeah, we have got, as always, an amazing giveaway today. So first of all, we would love to know from you if this is the first time that you have joining us on these live series, or if you've been coming to the others. So drop a comment below, let us know. We also are giving a very special planner away on Facebook. So if you're on Instagram, come over to Facebook, Team BossBabe. We are live on there, and we're going to be picking somebody who has liked, commented, and shared. So you have to have shared it to receive a planner, which is worth $50. And these are amazing. Like, Natalie and I actually designed these ourselves because we were tired of buying planners that didn't work for us. So we were like, did what any boss babe would do, and we just made our own. So we're going to be giving one of these away live on today's training. So come over to Facebook so you can win that at the end. We want to get to 500 comments, so we're going to be keeping our eye out when we hit that.
Yep, so as soon as we hit 500 comments, we will stop everything and we'll give away a planner. So the sooner you get us there, the better. And if you've liked, commented, and shared, you're going to have extra chances to win. Our team is on it. They're working this Saturday as well. And I also just want to give a special shout out to Bonnie Chan. It's 2 a.m. where she is. That is amazing. She's in Hong Kong. We are so appreciative, and we are going to make sure this is worth every single minute of your time, and hopefully you're in a cozy place watching. So we're going to dive in straight away with the art of storytelling and why it helped us achieve our next level. And for me, I'm going to get into my story in a little bit, but it actually helped me get to my next level by accident. I didn't even realize this was a tool. So you can talk a little bit about why this tool is really important.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, they don't really realize the art of storytelling or the power of it. I know that was certainly the case for me. I was like, oh yeah, stories are just things that you read. Like, I didn't actually realize that we're surrounded by stories all of the time. And actually, that's what creates a lot of our own beliefs, is the power of story. You can tell somebody something, but they are more likely to remember it if a story is told behind it, and if they actually have emotional feelings and connections to this. And you can see this in religions. You can see it when people are following other people. Like, it happens all the time. And it's actually one of the most powerful things in your business that you can do. Forget algorithms, forget numbers, all those things. I would probably say it's one of the number one things that you can do to propel your business forward, because you actually get people to know, like, and trust you, which is what growing a business is all about. Just think about it. You don't buy from people that you don't trust. And storytelling is an incredible way of really creating that trust, sharing that you're a real person, sharing that you're not just a brand, that there's people behind it. So it's so powerful. And what we're going to be sharing today is like some of our stories and how we've utilized them, but also this is one of those things that we wish we knew. We didn't start utilizing story quick enough, really, did we, Natalie? You know, it was one of those things that we were like, oh yeah, and then we realized that people wanted connection. So really, really excited to kind of start showing you the power framework and helping you tell your stories. So I'm going to hand over to Natalie for this bit, because her story is pretty incredible.
Well, so for me, I didn't even realize the power of storytelling, and I didn't realize how influenced I'd been by storytelling. So I won't go into my full story on this live training, but I will at some point. If anyone's interested in hearing it, tell me in the chat box, and I'm happy to do an Instagram TV or something. But basically, my childhood was very, very turbulent, to say the least. So I grew up in a household where there was a lot of domestic violence, there was depression, there was alcoholism, there was a lot of trauma happening in my childhood. And I actually moved out of my childhood home when I was 13, and I moved in with my grandparents. And I remember moving to a new school, 13-year-old, and feeling like an absolute outsider. Like, I felt like I was so ashamed and scared to tell my story because I felt like it would mean I would have no friends. Can anyone relate to this? Give me a yes, because I need some help. I felt like I would literally have no friends, and so I kept my story very, very tight and didn't share anything. And part of me wonders, had I opened up about that in school, would I have helped other people in that situation? Would I have been able to deepen friendships? Probably. But at that time, I was 13, I had no idea. I was just happy to not be around that. So anyway, 13-year-old, I'm at a careers day at school, which I'm so grateful that schools do this. And so all day long, there was lots of different people coming in talking about their careers. All great careers, not a single one of them resonated with me. It got to about, school was like, 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. So it got to about 2 p.m. that day. And I remember thinking, great, so I have no idea what I'm going to be when I grow up. I don't resonate with anyone in here. They were all talking about how they got there, their university degrees, all these different things. And I'm just thinking, I've never seen anyone around me doing these kind of jobs. It doesn't light me up. I'm not excited by it. It's 2 p.m. I'm sitting there. I'm just not interested. All of a sudden, this glamorous woman walks into the school hall. She's got an amazing handbag. I'm a handbag kind of girl. She's got an amazing handbag that she puts down on a chair, and she stands at the front and she starts the whole presentation with, I remember sitting on my stairs, glass of wine in hand, crying at my life. And that, for me, instant connection. I saw my mum in her. And I was like, wow, someone's talking about crying about wine, talking about being unsure of their life, unsure of their future. Like, I could just see the way she was telling the story. I could feel the despair that she felt. And she started talking about how she went through a really difficult divorce and she had no skills. She didn't know what she was going to do. She was really struggling financially. And I just really, really connected with her in that moment. And she then went on to talk about how she realized she was really good at running events. She'd been doing it for her kids, and she realized that was a skill she had, and she decided to set up her own events company, and it became one of the best in the region where I was living. And so she absolutely crushed it, and she was really, really successful at doing that. And it all came from her being in this moment of despair to then turning it into, okay, I have this superpower. I think I'm good at this. Let me go all in because I've got kids to feed. I've got a roof to put over my head. It really was that simple. And for me, I remember in that moment thinking, wow, I wish my mum had someone that I was inspiring her like that. And also, I want to be that woman for other women. Like, what she did for me in that moment, in a way that she helped me relate to her and made me feel like I belonged and I wasn't on my own. I wanted to be that woman, and I also want to be the woman that would inspire other people and other women to go and create their own freedom and not be stuck in situations which are not so healthy for them. So she told me that this word for what she did was called entrepreneurship, which I was 13 at the time. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was. I'd never even heard of this word, and I remember writing it down. I was like, great, I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I went home, and that was me. I was like, how do I make this happen? And I was so incredibly inspired, and that for me was a turning point. But with that being said, you know, I started my own business, and I was incredibly inspired by her. And I started my own business later on in life, and it started becoming really successful, and I was just doing what I was good at. But it was only maybe 2017, 2018 that I started to realize this. All of a sudden, I had thousands of followers. I'd created a business that was generating over 6 figures in revenue. To some people, I was unrelatable. They were not seeing that I'd been where they are. They're not seeing that I had to start from the beginning with 0 followers. They're not seeing that actually I had a really difficult childhood and I had a lot of money mindset issues. I had a lot of trauma I needed to work through. They weren't seeing any of that stuff. And so whilst they were in the beginning parts of their journey, they were actually looking at me with these thousands of followers and being like, well, it's okay for her. She has all of this to get started with. I don't have that. In fact, I don't even believe that I can have financial independence. Like that's how it was. And I remember doing my first ever event ever, and thinking about what I was going to share when I was on stage. And a lot of it was around Instagram growth. I've talked a little bit about this in the other live trainings that we did, but a lot of it, what I was sharing was about Instagram growth. And one thing just stopped me at one point. I was like, you know what? I actually want to share my story and what my childhood was like and the kind of things I went through and what it really, really looked like for me to be able to get from there to here. Because there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I was doing that I genuinely didn't think anyone cared about. And that same thing kicked in. I was scared for people to really hear my story because I felt they wouldn't like me, they wouldn't relate to me, they wouldn't want to be my friend, they wouldn't want to listen to me. But actually, I decided to stand on that stage, and I actually had my friend standing next to me because I was so terrified to share my story. I was shaking, I started crying. It was not the best speech of my life, guys. I'm going to be real with you. It was just real. And I shared my story, and it was the first time, and I said, from this day, I make a commitment to be really, really flipping honest about what I've been through and what I'm still going through. Like, we all have behind the scenes. Like, our week's been amazing, and yesterday I ate a full box of cookies. I showed myself, I just ate a full box of cookies, right? Like, I
ate a bag of cookies.
Yeah, like, we were hormonal. It was just what we were, and I don't want to be this perfect looking highlight reel. Like, I want you all to know that I'm in this with you. Like, I'm not leading this boat, like I'm in the boat. We're all rowing together, and I want that to come across. And the best way that we can do this is through sharing stories. And so stories can make you relatable. And if any of you are in IGA or you've seen any of my Instagram trainings, I talk about having stories of yours that you share. And it doesn't need to be childhood. It could be leaving a job. It could be a defining moment. It could be something that happened to you last week. It doesn't need to be that big of a story, but it needs to be something that can connect and people can really relate to. So I want to share this with you. Give me a note in the chat box if you really relate to hearing other people's stories as well, and if you've actually experienced this, because for me, it was me stepping into my next up level, and it changed the game for me completely.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some amazing comments coming through actually while you've been speaking, like really people relating to it and really loving that realness. And I'd love to know from you guys, have you been influenced from people at school? Give us a yes, if you've been influenced by people who have come into your school at an early age, because I think it's really important to acknowledge how impressionable we are and reflect on our stories that we actually also might not have considered had impacted us so much.
Totally.
And I really love how you've used that to give back, and I think that's really where we come from with BossBabe too. We are a community, and it's all about helping each other. We always talk about collaboration over competition, and you sharing that story and kind of I mean, someone asked, do you remember her name? And this story was so powerful for Natalie. Even I know her name, okay?
Nikki Gott, and I've connected with her since and told her how much it impacted me. But yeah, everyone around me knows her name.
Yeah.
Because it really did impact me that much.
And so I think it's really powerful, like how you guys show up for those people in your lives and also people around you, because it just shows, it symbolizes like the impact of it and the power that you can have over someone if you get that story right and if you influence them in a positive way as well. It's just really amazing. So loving. Let's go to the comments and just see who's popping in here. Toma, thank you for sharing. Tanya, several defining moments in my life, still so scared to share. Don't forget, guys, we're trying to get to 500 comments. So please let us know. Like I say, give us a yes if you've been impacted by a story early on. Let us know because we want to connect with it. Okay, this is your first time here. Welcome. And also, guys, if you want to share this, we've been up here. This is day 4 of 7. So please share this with anybody that you know who would benefit from some of these trainings. Like I said, Natalie and I are sharing the things that we wish we knew before starting our businesses. So if you know anyone, you've got a biz bestie, a family member, a friend who's starting their business and wants access to free trainings, then send them over here. We've got 3 more days left, so share it.
And what I would say as well is a lot of you are being like, yes, we need more people like that in our school. And also, if you hear a story that you're like, I think this would really impact people on my news feed. I think it would impact people. Share it, because that can be you being that gateway to helping other people see their potential. And you've actually got a really amazing story as well.
Yeah, so you really kind of shared your story and how it influenced, how you've kind of evolved as a person and given back. And I wanted to share a story around actually how you can leverage your story to teach. I actually come from, my mum was actually a teacher.
And she's on this training.
Is she on right now? She's been coming to that. Love it. Shout out, Mum. I bet she's blushing right now. So, I've always been around like teaching. And one thing that's really I've learned to do is pre-frame my stories. So actually tell a story before I teach. And I'm actually just going to show you an example because it's a little bit hard to describe. But I want to give you an example of how this works. So let's say I'm teaching you and I'm like, right guys, I am so excited to show up here and teach you the exact framework or the exact 5 steps that I did and we did to take our business from startup to 6 figures, all right? Are you ready? Now, I just want to pause there a second and ask you to think about how ready you are to hear that story, okay? Because my guess is a lot of you are going to be like, okay, well, we'll hear the framework. We'll hear the next steps or 5 steps that they did. I'm curious, but that's it, okay? And you're not going to be like getting your paper and pen out. You're not going to be ready and eager to write down. And I want to share with you a different way of doing it. So, 3 years ago, I was actually traveling in France with my family. We were on a skiing holiday. And on the 4th day, my dad had this horrendous skiing accident. He actually crashed out at 70 miles an hour and he fractured his pelvis all the way up and was airlifted to hospital. It was such a traumatic time. We were in a foreign speaking country. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what the prognosis would be. At that point, he was only able to lie down. He wasn't able to sit up. He was in so much pain. When you see people around you in so much pain, like it's your own heart hurts, like that's how it felt. And because we were on holiday there, I actually had to leave the day he went to have his surgery. So I got on that plane knowing that my dad was having surgery that day. He was having bone taken from his leg, put into his pelvis. We didn't even know if he'd ever be able to walk again. And in that moment, I sat on that plane and thought, I want freedom. I don't want to have to go back to work. I don't want to have to be at the same place at the same time every day and not having the freedom or the financial freedom or the time freedom to decide, actually, I don't want to go home right now. My mum and dad need me and I don't have a choice in this and I'm having to go home. And does anyone relate to this, having that freedom taken away from them, having that decision taken away from them? Because that was so horrible and so scary for me. And in that moment when I decided that I wanted freedom, I thought to myself, how can I do this? And I knew I'd seen actually something where someone was talking about teaching their knowledge online. And I thought to myself, well, do you know what? I've got some things I can teach. I've done a few things in my time, and maybe someone wants to learn from me. So over a 3-year period, I did so much research into this. I was looking things up. I was learning every single weekend. I had a side hustle. I was doing it. I was determined with this in the back of my mind all the time. It took me 3 years to gain that financial freedom, that time freedom, that free of my environment freedom. But I am going to teach you the framework that I learned. I made so many wrong decisions. I did so many twists and turns, so many things I wish I'd known right at the very beginning that could have cut that 3-year time frame into 6 months. And that is what I'm going to teach you now.
It's crazy how much of a difference telling a story can make, and also really how genuine you are and your impact comes through. And that's why we're doing any of this, and that's why any of you are doing this. You all have a desire to make an impact through services, coaching, physical products. Like, there's a reason that you're doing this. And if you have a story that you can share, people want to show up to hear your story. They don't just want to hear the little tidbits of tips, because your story pre-frames makes them really interested to learn, but also it means that when they're listening to you sharing these frameworks, they can believe they can do it too. And so you're probably more likely, after hearing Danielle explain her story, more likely to think, oh, wait, if she could do it and went from being a chiropractor to being an online business coach, which is a completely different career, then perhaps I could do it too. Versus, hi, I'm Danielle, I have millions of followers online, I'm really successful, I've nearly earned 8 figures in the past few years. Let me teach you what I know. You're kind of like, yeah, Danielle, I kind of just want 10,000 followers, a swipe up, and a couple of grand a month. Like, I'm not there. I don't want that. And that's why we really need to be sharing our stories and sharing the relatability. So I just want to share a little exercise with all of you, because I know you've already taken so much away from this, but I want to ground this for you. So I want you to go away and think about your values. Think about why you do what you do. So is it freedom of location? Is it freedom of time? Is it financial freedom? Think about what it is that makes you do what you do, and think back to when you started to feel this way. Like, when did that feeling kick in for you, or when did the need for that feeling kick in for you? Really go back and think about that. Think about what you do and why you do it. Maybe you are selling, right, let's just use this for an example. Let's say you're selling a planner, right? The reason that you're selling a planner is because you know that using this tool has actually helped you to save, like, to get out of those days where you open up, get ready to be fully productive and get nothing done. This planner has actually helped you really achieve your goals, and you want other people to do it. Or let's say you're selling a shampoo, your hair was really damaged, really thin, and you started to use a non-toxic shampoo and it changed the game. You want to share that with other people. Think about what it is. What's the reason behind doing what you're doing, and distill it. And even if you have to go away with a journal for 30 minutes and just think, sit in silence and think. We just got back from meditation, which you know the power of silence.
Yeah, we do.
Think through it. And if you can come up with 3 within the next 2 weeks, would love to know, like DM us, let us know. That would be super powerful. And you don't need to have a full roster of stories and you tell a new story every single time you do a new training. You just share the same story over and over and over again.
And what's really important to recognize is where I gave those 2 examples, they're both true. You know, that story is so from the heart, but I'm telling it so that you understand, like Natalie said, where I came from, what my thought process was, and how you can relate to that. And so I just want to point that out. Like, you're actually, when you're sharing stories, you're helping people to connect to it, to see and feel that they can do it for themselves as well. And so rather than just kind of going, oh yes, here's a bit of content, here's something I'm teaching you, you're getting them to understand like why it's important. So even like the hair thing, you know, sharing a story, rather than saying, oh yeah, my this shampoo is going to make your hair thicker, it can be like, oh yeah, I had this challenge where I had really thin hair and it actually affected me in this way. Do you relate to that? And this is what I've been using and this is why it helped. So like Natalie just said quite rightly, just take that time to think. Sometimes I'll share with you as well, I found it really difficult to actually understand what my stories were. I am very much a person who kind of just gets on with it, and it did take me shutting myself in a dark room and just actually thinking about, you know, what I had been through. So it might be that you do need to reflect on those periods in your life and look back and go, okay, when did I decide to change? Like, what was that moment? And I can guarantee some of you it'll be monumentally huge moments. Like, there'll be real traumas in there, and other people it won't be. And that's also okay, because that is relatable too. But find that story, because everyone does have a story.
Totally. I just want to say as well, when we hit 500 comments, have we hit it yet? We're going to do a giveaway. Make sure you share this live, because it comes up beside your name if you're a sharer, and we will pick one of you randomly to win. And a lot of you are asking, like, what's a framework I can use to tell my story? Now, we have a framework that we never came up with. In fact, it's a really old framework that is used in storytelling across the board, from movies to novels to stories like we're telling you right now, and it's called The Hero's Journey. Now, write that down and go away and Google it. We're not taking any credit for this. This is a really amazing way for you to tell your story, and there's so many resources on it online, where I want you to go away first and like Danielle said, shut yourself in a dark room and figure out, we did this together, we were in a room for an entire day, just like, how do we get more storytelling across in our business? Because that's why we're doing this. We're not doing this to paint ourselves as gurus. We actually want to be friends with everyone in our community, and so that comes from us being willing to be vulnerable. And so go away and think about your stories, then Google the hero's journey, HERO. Google the hero's journey. There's so many resources on there. It's not our framework. That will show you how to tell your stories, and we can't teach you any better than that. That's been really, really helpful for us.
I love that.
Erica said, how can you get to the point of sharing it without crying? It's funny, once you just start doing it, it just stops to have that emotional reaction for you.
Yeah, it's actually a healing process as well, telling your story. So I actually hear this quite a lot. I did a really good interview on the podcast recently about sharing stories, and one thing, it was quite harsh words from the guest who was on there, Trisha, but she was basically saying, like, you need to think about your audience. If you're crying, you're not servicing them, and so just bear that in the back of your mind. And if you can't tell it without crying, maybe it's too early for you to tell the story, and you need to do some more healing work around it. But basically, once you go through that process, you should be able to tell your story without crying. So it's great, actually, if you listen to that podcast with Trisha. Kaylee, I know you're part of the BossBabe team. Will you let us know how many comments have been? Because we can't see, so we really, really want to make sure that this is in there. And Yeah, you go.
I was just going to share, we had a comment from Julie just talking about the hero's journey and said Russell Brunson does an amazing journey of this, overview of this. So Google Russell Brunson hero's journey. And I love that you shared that, because along the bottom, you can actually see we're doing a training with Russell Brunson. So we've been sharing this every single day, and I know a lot of you have already signed up. Message us if you signed up, message us if you haven't. But basically, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Jenna Kutcher, and Russell Brunson, all four of them are getting together and doing an incredible live training showing you how to take what you know and turn it into profit and impact. So basically, how you can create a business around your knowledge, whether that's coaching, consulting, masterminds, retreats, courses, an online business that can help you achieve that time, location, schedule, financial freedom. They have been doing this for a really, really long time, like 40 plus years combined. They are incredible. And so if you want to learn from people that have been there and done it, sign up. The link is below, and it's also in our bios. It's on this caption. It's everywhere. We are fully behind this because we've learned from these people. Like Danielle was saying before, she learned from Russell Brunson about really pre-framing whatever you're about to teach. So we learned from these people, and actually being able to learn from people like this has allowed us to have the freedom in our businesses that a few years ago we didn't even think was possible. We were employees of our own business, and to actually be able to impact people's lives on a daily basis it's just mind-blowing, and we're so grateful that we get to do it. And we also want, if any of you are listening and you're like, that resonates with me and I want to do that too, we want to make sure that you can get that. It's completely free. There's no obligation on there at all for anything. So sign up, bossbabekbb.com. It's going to be incredible. You're going to absolutely love it.
I love this. I'm so excited. And let us know if you've signed up already. I know that a few of you are letting us know, so really, really excited. Let us also know what you're excited about learning from it, because I know that Natalie and I will even have our pen and paper ready to learn. Like, I don't think this journey of learning ever ends. And actually, I was listening to Tony the other day, and he was saying to us that, you know, for him, learning never stops. So wherever you are on your journey, I think there's always things that you can be learning and growing from, that growth mindset. So really, really excited to be coming to that. And I think Natalie's just about to say we surpassed the 500. I think we're on like 690 or something now.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just going to scroll back and make this really fair and pick someone. Okay, just scrolling. Okay, the winner is, let me see, Kirsty Penn.
Yay! I love Kirsty. She's been DMing me. I know she's so eager as well.
Amazing. Well, you win a planner. Drop us a DM with your address and we'll get this sent out to you right away. We are going to end it there. Like we said, sign up for the live training. We're going to be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp. Yeah. It's going to be a Sunday, but please join us because we don't want to be sitting here on our lonesome. And hopefully this has been really valuable for you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And I know we've had people on Instagram. We have been looking at the Facebook screen, but we've not been ignoring you at all. So really excited. 10 a.m. tomorrow, PST. We'll be here.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so hopefully you loved this episode. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, all the things, and we'll see you tomorrow.